questions and also help with translation. I think there's a lot to talk about. But, let's just start with with the vaquejada. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your sort of degree of familiarity with it. It's something that I understand is very particular to the northeast of Brazil, which is where you're from.
I'll try to speak English. The vaquejada historically is really associated to the idea of the farmers in the start of the century cultivating the bulls in the wild when the farmers didn't have fences. And they start doing some kind of party to grab the bulls, and it became more popular. And I grew up in the city, in Recife, where I had a lot of contact with people that comes from the countryside. So I was very close to friends that it was really the country culture, very strong culturally. And when I was older, like 5 years ago, I by accident came into this huge vaquejada party, which recently has been completely reshaped, and it was very spectacularized. So it in some way it came to me very strongly to see how there is some connection with this rapid and fast development that Brazil has been faced in the last 10 years. And this agribusiness part is something huge, and lots of genetic research, horse insemination, and a lot of things that historically wouldn't be imagined in northeastern culture, because historically this region was associated with poverty, starvation, lots of literature, films and arts in general. They used to talk about people living, this movement of leaving this region because this problem issues. And I decided I tried to make a film about people that don't want to live anymore, about people that want to change the place where they are living. And this road movie is not taking them to anywhere. They are doing some kind of cyclical movements. So the conflicts in the film are really focused in these small gestures, these small signs, these small minimal situations that the day-to-day presented to them as a challenge.
So just to hear you just describe that, it sounds like there's a very strong documentary impulse. You have worked in documentary and sort of on the edge of documentary and fiction. But with this film, I'm wondering how I guess how close it is. How documentary is it? Because there are certain aspects of the film that seem to drift quite far from that and towards more like fantastical or slightly surreal elements. Like, is this a fairly accurate depiction of the vaquejada? Would we find a cowboy who wants to be a fashion designer?
It's quite funny because the film has just been released in Brazil, and some people they say, "Oh my God, it's exactly like it is nowadays in the Northeast." But on the other side, there's a lot of tweets from farmers and cowboys that say it's not true. No cowboys, the real cowboys, would like to leave the vaquejada to be a fashion designer. It's not true. So it's funny,
but they iron their hair.
and actually, in the research, I really met a real person that really inspired me. And it was my first starting point when I was, oh my God, that's something interesting and intriguing in terms of this guy that in the reality he works in livestock and will shift and work a few hours later in the fashion in the textile industry. Right. Because just information, this region Brazil has changed a lot, and the development brings some kind of textile factory specialized in software. So all the software in Brazil comes from this almost desertic place without water. And these contradictions and this ambiguity of this imposed development and this personal this imposing development there is some connection in terms of how these human relationships are being reshaped very fast. And yes, and I try to use some real elements, but at the same time fictionalizing and mixing and blending this almost realistic experience with this very strong day-to-day life of this group of people, almost observational.
So we're talking a lot about sort of this socioeconomic aspects and of the region, but it seems like gender is such an important part of this film. I mean, just even the idea of the cowboy, the emblem of masculinity, and this idea of the fashion designer, in particular, the fashion that he's designing too. And can you talk a little bit about just wanting to examine or do something with gender roles? I'm not sure that you're really subverting them, but you're doing something quite interesting with gender in these films with the various characters that you've assembled.
Yes, I tried not necessarily invert, but expand these notions of bodily experience. No? And so it's not a film about a male that has female skills and not the opposite, but how we can understand and some kind of expanding possibilities in this place where we clearly associate some expectation. No? If you say I was talking about cowboy, we create a lot of sexist, preconceived ideas. No? And if I say, the cowboy going to be a fashion designer, so it's a film about a gay character. So we are always trying to create
categories.
Portuguese. Put people in boxes and try to create a clear identity, So and for me, that was research in this region. One of the pop star, the singer, is really like Junior, the character. He every day posts tweets with Wesley Safadão, that's his name. Every day he posts photos taking care of the bodies. It's very interesting to see this macho culture facing some new perspectives, new ideas of masculinity. So I try to suspend these experiences and create something that I could provoke in terms of expectations. And the film deals with this kind of the expectations we create, and the film slowly break some expectations and take us to different layers, different possibilities of looking to what they are. For example, there is a scene where I like is when Junior is straightening ironing his hair, and it's very funny, and it's very common that people laugh a lot, and then without cutting, without doing any cinematic movement force, very manipulating the feelings, we can see just one eye where Galega, the driver, is looking to the guy. She's appreciating the way he's taking care of his hair. So we start with the film in some way let us be in contact with the way of they are relating to each other, and the characters do not judge themselves. No? Neither judge each other.
I guess to follow up on that, maybe you could say a little bit more about your work with the cinematographer. I think you shot August Wins yourself, right? But here you're working with Diego Garcia, I think one of the most talented young DPs around. People may know he shot Apichapong, Where's Ethical Cemetery of Splendor as well. And just what you were saying, it's the visual language of the film is very composed, and there's a certain distance. At the same time, it's also a very sensual film, which I think is an interesting tension there.
That's a very curious question, because we spent lots of time living together for 1 month thinking about this film, and it was very curious to understand how it was very important in this film, because it didn't have a lot of cuts and different angles and point of view, to really think about the distance between the camera, the device, and the bodies. And we understood together that as closer we were to the characters, we were reinforcing stereotypes, like creating some kind of
that they were emptying the presence of so reducing the presence and the importance of the characters' feelings and sentiments.
E quando que a gente recuava, a gente descobria um empoderamento, uma força muito grande que os corpos ganhavam.
And when they brought the camera back, so they distanced themselves from the characters, they were actually empowering the characters within the scene, so giving them space to breathe and act out their scenes.
E curiosamente, quanto mais distância, mais próximo da intimidade a gente estava dos personagens.
So they felt that the further away that the camera came, they were actually bringing the audience and spectators closer to the characters and the intimacy of the characters.
Did that apply with animals as well? I mean, it's a film about, as you said, the film about the body, but it's not just human bodies, but animal bodies, how humans relate to animals and how we film animals.
Sim, de alguma maneira, para mim, foi muito importante pensar filme sobre as hierarquias do corpo.
So for Gabriel, it was very important to think about the hierarchy of bodies in cinema, both animal and human.
E nesse caso, pensando no animal, assim, não era necessariamente animalizar os humanos, nem humanizar os animais.
So in this respect, it wasn't about animalizing humans or humanizing animals.
Mas sim tentar encontrar e pensar essa mesma distância justa, se isso existe, não existe, mas encontrar uma imagem possível, né, para esteticamente, né, dialogar com esses corpos, sejam eles animais ou
humanos. Rather, the idea was about finding a distance, if that exists, and a just way of observing these bodies, both animal and human.
I think we can open it up to the audience. I'm sure there are questions. So if you want to just raise your hand if you have any. Yes, sorry. Yep.
Could you talk a little bit about the casting of the pregnant actor and why you did that? I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, but it's sort of shocking at the same time for us here.
A question about the casting of the pregnant actor, described as beautiful and shocking for us here. You mean for Americans?
Well, for me.
Okay.
Para mim foi uma escolha, não foi por acidente, assim, foi um casting de atrizes grávidas durante a etapa de filmagem.
Yeah, so it was a choice. It was a deliberate choice to have a very pregnant actress for that scene, for that character. So with no prosthetics or anything. She had to be pregnant.
Para mim é um filme sobre a paisagem, os corpos nessa paisagem de transformação, os corpos criando uma mudança nas relações humanas.
So throughout the film, Gabriel looking at the bodies and the transformation of the human landscape.
E de alguma maneira, o personagem do Iremar, ele cultiva um desejo, né, pela aquela fábrica, assim. Então, quando ele entra lá, ele entra quase que num templo. Né?
So with the character of Iremar, he's like amazed by this factory that he goes into that represents his desire that he has to become a fashion designer. So it's almost like him going into a temple, a religious temple. So
E no lugar que se corta o tecido, né, em larga escala, para a produção industrial, né, para cobrir as pessoas, eles ficam nus.
And so when he goes into this room, which is where they cut the fabric and in a large scale, it's like that's where the place where they become naked.
E a mulher grávida no Brasil, especialmente no Nordeste, assim, tem uma associação muito próxima com a coisa de santificação, da puridade.
So in Brazil, and particularly in the northeast of Brazil, the idea of a pregnant woman, there's an idea of purity about a pregnant woman, and you have to treat her in a pure way, almost as a saint.
Alguns vaqueiros machões nem sequer fazem sexo com a própria mulher grávida.
So there will be a lot of like very macho cowboys who wouldn't even have sex with their partner or wife if they were pregnant.
E de alguma maneira no filme é uma mulher grávida que, como qualquer outra, ela tem uma situação de desejo, de escolha, de domínio do corpo, de fazer essas escolhas. E tem um momento com Iremar.
So in the film, the idea is that this woman, she's a pregnant woman who she has her sexual desires, as any woman, pregnant woman has her sexual desires, and Gabriel wanted to show that in the film. This woman, she's attracted to Iremar, and she wanted to have this experience, sexual experience with him.
E por que não uma mulher grávida?
And Gabriel, and why not a pregnant woman?
Para completar, e também assim tem uma coisa. E o que a gente imagina que seria um tabu, de alguma maneira o filme tenta aproximar para uma normalização que faz a gente, por um momento, talvez sentir um pouco esse choque, mas depois a gente entra, né, na escala de experiência que eles estão vivendo ali, naquele desejo mesmo, um desejo compartilhado, assim. Então a gente fica entrando e saindo da cena, mas a cena tem tempo suficiente, por isso que ela é longa, para a gente sair desses pensamentos do porquê e entrar numa experiência compartilhada mesmo.
So, because there is a taboo around the idea of sexuality of a pregnant woman and the scene of a pregnant woman having sex, the idea of the scene was also to normalise that situation, so that that's partly why it's so long. And so that initially, when the spectator is shocked by the scene, that there's time to then adjust and have this shared experience with the characters and with this scene and it seem normal and natural.
Tem várias situações no filme onde poderias, né, cair num lugar, né, de pitoresco, mas eu tento aproximar isso de um mundo ordinário possível.
So there's several moments in the film where it could seem just very picturesque, but then with the time try to this become more normalized and more ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just one thing in terms of who the director, who do you see as the protagonist? Who's Iremar seems to be the center of the story, but do you see that he's changed in some way by his experience, or it's just more just a slice of his life as he's living? What's kind of the dramatic part for the character?
Question about who the central protagonist is in this dramatic arc. Do you see Iremar as the center of the film, and is he changed over the course of it?
Essa acho que é a pergunta mais difícil de todas. I think this was the most difficult question. I think not me even know who's the protagonist. And, I think the film in some way introduced us into different experience, and the characters doesn't sound to have antagonists. No, there is not clear conflict in terms of these classical expectations of what you could expect in this kind of narrative arc. Mas é um filme que é sobre o cotidiano, né, e esses conflitos, né, aparecem de forma muito mínima entre esses momentos de vida que eles compartilham juntos.
But it's a film about the day-to-day and the conflicts and the tensions happen in small moments in the day-to-day lives of the characters.
Para mim, o maior conflito do filme vem do silêncio da Cacá, da menina. O maior conflito do filme vem do silêncio da Cacá.
So one of the biggest conflicts, tensions in the film comes from the silences of Kaka, the little girl in the film.
E eu acho que é um filme que ele, deliberadamente, ele não aposta, né, na estratégia de contar a história a partir de um protagonista.
So the idea of the film that it tries to avoid telling or bet on telling a story that doesn't necessarily need to figure around one protagonist, one central character.
Yeah.
My question is about the dancer with the horse's head and the beautiful outfit. So, was that? Did you see that? Is that something that you created, or are there? I mean, there are exotic dancers everywhere, but it just seemed like it seemed like part of Deramar's fantasy. And then the second time we saw the dance, it was in a bar or wherever she was dancing. But I just wanted to know about that. Was that something that you thought of for Iramar and for the relationship of the animals to the people? Or
Question about
it's very beautiful.
Question about the dancer, the horse's head, which initially may seem like a fantasy, but also appears in a real situation. And can you say a little bit about that?
Eu concordo, acho que o filme como um todo, ele constrói momentos onde a fantasia é muito presente, a gente quase que se suspende nesse mundo da fantasia, e às vezes, quando pouco percebe, está dentro de um mundo que poderia ser quase um documentário. Né? Então, acho que o filme ele dialoga com esses dois estados de sentimento mesmo.
So, yeah, he agrees with you that it's very present, the idea of the fantasy in the film and in the documentary, and that you go between these moments where you're really in this fantasy world, and then you're brought down to this very documentary elements that could be documentary, and that the film plays with that and goes from one to the other.
E sim, essa figura, né, quase mitológica, né, da mulher com cavalo, que poderia também cair quase na fantasia, né, sexista, ela oscila entre esse excesso de sexismo desse mundo da vaquejada, mas como também numa força corpórea muito estranha, né, e deslocada dessa mulher que tem hora que ela faz assim, então tem um gesto corpóreo que às vezes vai para a sedução, fetiche, mas vai para um outro caminho que também oscila no empoderamento. Então é uma performance confusa mesmo, ambígua.
So the idea that the figure of this woman, who's both woman and horse, and it plays between this sensuality and the sexuality of her figure in the dance, but then also this the powerful woman, and a woman who can there's a moment when she goes like this, and so she uses force, and so it's going between the idea that flirting with sexism, and then the fetish, and then the force of her as a character within the film.
Yep.
How was the process of screenwriting in relation to the process of research? And how did those three live with each other while trying to achieve something that was much more like day-to-day and stuff?
So what was the process of the screenwriting during the research, and then doing the filming, and then how that, with the process that seems very much based on the day-to-day, is that?
Right. Was there a moment when you were doing the screenwriting, like how much of the research went into the screenwriting? How to separate those two things?
So basically what Rachel said, screenwriting and the research process.
Yes, I spent almost 3 years writing the script and traveling in these parties. It wasn't very pleasant because the part is so intense, the word is very sexist, and in the first moment I was trying to make a film about the farmers, the owner of the horse, and then I discovered the cowboy that works in the textile industry, so I came to the backstage of this event, and so I researched, and of course this process of researching really helps to develop the script. And yes, it was a very rich process where I could really meet a lot of country cultural activities, and it really helped me to write. What's the question?
Yes.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say that I thought it was fantastic. It's very refreshing for Brazilians to see a movie about Brazil that's not full of stereotypes. And you really explored interesting gray areas that I think arise from the situation that you created. So, knowing that you have taken this movie, you're showing it in Brazil, you're showing it here, and you're showing it in other places. Have you learned anything about the cultures where you have showed the movie, like their responses to the type of situation that you created? And if there's anything that stands out, like for instance, you thought, oh, it's like, like have you gotten like reactions that gave you a lesson or gave you learn something about the cultures?
This question is about culturally specific responses to the film, because Gabriel has now shown it in Brazil and I guess quite many other places.
Yes, definitely. Each screen is very special, different background, different cultures. When the film is screened internationally, on the first question is about how it was to work with non-professional actors. And actually the film has 3 actors, so it's interesting to see how something like that can change the expectations, and it's funny to when I say that
because your lead actor is quite well known.
Yes, well known in soap operas, Brazilian TV soap operas. So yes, but there's a lot of different reactions. For example, the film has been programmed in specific cinema that, like, it's not common to show art house films, and just because it's about vaquejada, rodeo, some in Brazil some cinemas program just because the subject, like rodeo, like cowboys, and then the cowboys came, oh my god, and the farmers, like, oh my god, and sometimes the whole family, was into this screen, and it was no, please, the kids, the children, no, but you can't, no, I can't. It was like, yes, curiously, some farmers was very happy. Oh wow, for the first time we're gonna show our culture of our farm life, and then 1 week after the screening, they figured, no, do not go to this film because it's not promoting our farmer activities. So it was curious to see these different appreciations. It's always quite intense and special and unrepeatable. Each screen is very unique.
Yeah.
The state of Paraíba and Pernambuco is very strong. The vaquejada is we shot in both states, and they are very strong culturally. The vaquejada is very strong, so it was very natural for us to shoot these 2 states in Brazil.
You mentioned sexism, and I know that in the audience it was mentioned about the woman and the horse. There was also a scene with the man caressing the horse, which is also a fantasy, and then you see the kind of way in terms of morality and quantity.
It's sort of a follow-up question about gender roles and the mention of sexism and how, I guess, directly did you want that to be a message?
Yes, and expand these notions. No, the characters are having experience, and their bodies are alive. They are having experiences. And for example, for me, the sex scene of a pregnant woman, it's not a sex scene where we are confirming or proving his sexual identity or orientation. It's not a heteronormative sex scene. No? It's something beyond. No, comes not. It's not used to prove no, he's not a gay. He's having sex with a woman. It's not used to this effect. No. So yes, and the way the body relates to each other, the way is so like the way he's the way they care about the bodies of each other in that situation. The almost forced contact is expanding roles and these notions of gender identity.
Yep.
You know, I want to go to a different...
Sorry, can we try to get somebody else in?
Yes,
just
yes.
in front. I'll come back to you, Jim, if we have time.
Well, I have a couple questions, but I guess the one that just came up from the conversation you just had is, with him having sex with a pregnant woman, it's a very interesting moment, but parenthood comes up in a lot of different ways throughout the film, particularly in the way that Kaka's father, for example, is absent and talked about, in the way that other men treat her, and then the way, of course, they treat the mother. And then at the end, I couldn't help but notice him having sex with a pregnant woman. I was kind of wondering where the father was, and I thought, is this a commentary also about sort of where men are, and sort of is it a commentary possibly about the absence of male taking responsibility throughout the process? That yes, he's fulfilling his desire and perhaps hers, but there is sort of an absence of parent, like, you know, especially with Kaka, and sort of that being brought up earlier in the film. Is that something that came up for you with any of those scenes?
I'll just quickly summarize a question about whether the film is comment on parenthood and the absence of men, absence of fathers, also in relation to the character of Kaka.
Eu acho que o filme lança comentários, né? Eu acho que mas ele não tenta eleger necessariamente uma resposta muito clara, porque eu acho que não é fácil identificar uma resposta muito clara para esse contexto que o filme cria, né?
So the film suggests several things and several themes, but it tries to avoid choosing just one focus or one theme or one response, one clear response or idea of what it's saying as a commentary.
As relações humanas naquele contexto são muito mais complexas para a gente tentar resolver.
So the human relationships within those contexts, within the context of the film, are much more complicated than any one answer could respond in terms of what's missing or what's absent.
Assim, a sua interpretação.
But yes, your interpretation is it's real, it's relevant, and it's in the film.
Yeah.
How is it for you as a director working with non-actors in the feature narrative?
We just said that they're actually actors.
There's some non-actors.
There's some non-actors,
Yeah,
yes.
as a director.
Foi uma experiência muito desafiadora, né, para mim, para os atores, né, e para os atores não profissionais, em criar uma experiência de preparação que durou quase 2 meses convivendo juntos, né.
So it was a very challenging experience both for Gabrielle and for the professional actors and the non-professional actors, and they worked for almost 2 months together prior to the filming, together to create a group.
De alguma maneira a gente leu o roteiro muito no começo, mas depois a gente meio que não ficou em cima do roteiro, a gente ficou criando exercícios de entrosamento.
So they, at the beginning of the preparation, they used the script as a base for the work that they did, and then they left it aside, and then were more spontaneous around working together to get the characters relating to each other and how they would react in different situations to each other.
Mas para mim foi muito mágico dirigir a Kaká.
It was very magic, especially directing Kaka, the little girl.
Porque a gente, uma das direções que eu passava para ela era assim: se você não está com vontade de falar, não fala. Não precisa falar porque está memorizado. Assim, espera o momento que você acredita no que está falando e aí você fala. Não se preocupe, esse filme não tem urgência, esse filme não é um filme que vai ficar editando, vai ficar buscando esse efeito. É um filme que tem tempo para esperar e falar só quando você quiser.
So one of the instructions or directions that Gabriel gave to Kaka in the preparation and during the filming was that if she didn't feel the need or the desire to say her lines or to talk, she didn't need to. The silence was okay. That she should only really say what she'd memorized when she really felt the urge that she needed to say that, and it had to come out. And that the film wasn't, and he explained how that the film wasn't kind of being shot in a way and that it would be edited and cut, that there was time for her to really feel what she wanted to say and express.
E termina que esses momentos de silêncio e espera, enquanto ela mesma procura acreditar nela mesma, que para mim são momentos mágicos.
So for Gabriel, these moments of silence when Kaka is waiting to say what she really feels and really believes are really magical moments in the film and in the direction process.
É quando a vida contamina a ficção.
And that's when the real life contaminates the fiction. So,
A Kaká é a menininha, o Zé, o gordinho, ele também é um vaqueiro de verdade, e o Josinaldo, eles são
So the non-professional actors are Kaka, the little girl, Zé, who's with the big tummy, and Josinaldo, who's the quieter vaqueiro as well, and then the other Junior, Vinicius de Oliveira, who was the actor, he's the little boy in Central Station, Brazilian film, so now a big boy. And then Juliano Casarré, who's a very well-known soap opera actor in Brazil, and Maeve Jenkins, who's also a professional actress, quite well-known.
Mas a preparação foi muito rica e esse momento com o Kaká foi muito mágico, porque a gente fez uns exercícios com ela. Tem uma cena quando ela pede, me dá um abraço.
So the process of the preparation for the actors was a very rich process. They did lots of different kinds of exercises, and there's the specific scene when Kaka asks Irma for a hug in Houston.
E eu lembro que o editor, que é o Fernando Epstein, ele fez, isso não vai funcionar. Filma isso em 5 takes diferentes, porque eu já sei que isso não vai funcionar.
So Fernando Epstein, who's one of the editors of the film, when he was reading the script, he said to Gabriel before the film, this scene is going to be really difficult, it's not going to work, like you need to make sure you film it from lots of different angles, because it's really risky.
E aí a gente fez um exercício na preparação que colocava o Zé sentado, em pé, sem apoio no chão.
So they did an exercise during the preparation where they put Zé, the character Zé, up against a wall. So he had his back against the wall, but he was kneeling down. So it's a very difficult position to hold yourself.
And he's fat, so he like this, sweating a lot. And Kaká was in control to when Zé would say, "Give me a hug," I'm suffering, and when she believed in Zé, she would allow him to leave the position. And she was like, "Oh my God, you are a liar." So she was playing a lot for almost half an hour. And Zé was like, "Give me a hug." and she, "No, you are lying, you fat guy." So we were creating this tense situation, because in the film they had this tense relationship. And also creating some kind of memory where she would understand, not by herself, but by the otherness, the way of the believing of the other person is telling. So she experienced it before. So during the scene, when she said, "Give me a hug," I said to Irma, "Do not give a hug." So when she asked me, "Give me a hug," and Irma said, "Huh?" And she felt like I'm not being I'm not being convincing. And she looks to herself for like 30 seconds. I think she is remembering the Z situation and trying to find a way to say, give me a hug. So it was very magic way to also create some ludic experiences and creating and directing situation, not necessarily by the script, but also by different experiences of previous experiences.
Okay. We can take one final question. Yes.
Small question. Curious about how much you shot in sequence versus out of sequence.
This one's where the film was shot in sequence.
The sex scene with pregnant was the last one. The actor was, oh my god, this one should be the last one. It's going to be so difficult. I'm very nervous to do this. The actress, she was very okay, super fine to do it, but he was very nervous. He was so nervous that even did not ask about the horse masturbation. So
he was okay with that.
He forgot. He didn't think about that. He was so nervous about the pregnant scene. Then we were there to do the sex, the horse scene, and let's go, action! And he was, stop! Where's the prosthesis? Prosthetic. No, there's no prosthetic. It's going to be for real. No way. He said, no. And he said, no, stop, God, take off the horse from here. The big horse like that. And then I had to explain, conceptually this film, man, fuck your concept. It's my life. You're going to go to New York Film Direct Festival, but my life's going to be, what's going to happen with me? Reputation. And he said, I only will make this scene if you do first. So, yeah. I had this experience in my life.
I think we'll end on that.